All right, we are live. I am going to prep some things here. We are talking about our beginner music theory, actually more of a continued beginner music theory thing. Oh, I forgot to tell everybody on Facebook about it. Oh, well. Let's see if I can share it real quick. I don't know if I can. Hold on one second. Let me see. Everybody that's watching, I apologize. I forgot to share this on Facebook. So I'm just kind of prepping this. Let me see if I can, I don't know if I can get them, copy and paste the link and see if it'll let me do that. Okay. And let's see if it'll do it. Okay. No, not now. Let's do that. There we go. Cool. I think it's uploading. We're about to find out. Okay. Hey, everybody. All right. Let's talk about our continued discussion about beginner music theory. Beginner music theory. Okay. Now, we talked about last time for beginner music theory that we would be doing, continuing the discussion about the letters, right? So we're talking about the letters A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then they repeat back to A, right? So I'm just going to do a quick little, let me scoot over here this way. And that way you guys can see this board that I purchased to help everybody understand this. Oh, I'm getting my guitar strap. Let's undo that. That I purchased here to help everybody get a visual of what we're talking about with music theory. Okay. Now, it starts with A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay. So let's just write that. And what I want to do is kind of go from the bottom to top. So here's your visualization. Okay. B. Yeah, we can see it. C, D. Do I know room? F, G. Just enough. Okay, should have started lower. Anyway, moving on. So we have A, B, C, D, F, G. Then it starts back at A up top here. So I'm going to write a very small A up there. And that's what you're looking at. Okay. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And now that's kind of just how this whole thing works. Now, we talked about those other 5 notes, right? So these are 7 individual unique notes. Okay. They're letters, yes, but they're 7 unique individual notes all on their own, right? So this is like the nuts and bolts. Why do I start with this instead of always showing people immediately where it is on an instrument? And it's because this stuff you can transport to other instruments. Okay, this is not just violin, guitar, bass guitar, drums, piano, whatever, right? This is on everything. This is universal as far as Western music theory goes. Okay, that's why. Now, there's 5 other notes that we don't know about yet. Okay, and I'm going to kind of give you some clues as to where those are here in a minute. All right, so let's actually just discuss that. There is a pitch right here. Okay, there is a pitch right here. There is a pitch right here. Okay, now right there, and then this is a tiny A. I messed up the spacing. Please forgive me. There's a pitch right here. Okay, so if I count about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Yeah, exactly. Okay, so those are the other pitches that we didn't get to during the last live stream. All right, so we're going to talk about those today. Now, before we do that, though, we have to just revisit our discussion about half steps and whole steps. Okay, if we remember half steps and whole steps, if you can steps and whole steps. Okay, if we remember half steps and whole steps, if you can look back in the other video, a half step is on a guitar, the distance from one fret to the very next fret. Okay. On the violin, it's a distance of, let's say, the regular first finger on the A. Okay. Directly up to a low 2 on the A. Okay. So if you're a violinist, if you're a guitarist, there's your reference point. Piano, a half step would be, if you look at the piano, there's 2 places where the white keys touch, right? There's white keys and black keys. There's 2 places where the white keys touch. Those are the half steps, okay? Now, technically, a half step is also between a white key and a black key. That's a half step, okay? But the easiest way to see it on a piano is between the keys that touch each other, right? 2 white keys are side by side. That's a half step, okay? Now, half step on a piano, half step on a guitar, half step on a violin, physical application of that is important, right? Because the physical application will help you play your instrument better. okay? But what that will not do is it won't matter as far as this goes. This is music theory right here, okay? This is like the stuff, the pie in the sky stuff that we don't totally understand at the beginning, right? But that you begin to understand the more you play your instrument or the more you read this stuff, okay? All right, so now that brings me to the next thing. So we know the half steps, right? Now the whole steps are stack two half steps on top of each other, right? Now, on a guitar is when you go start at one fret. Let's say you're starting on the first fret on high E, right? Which is an F, okay? So first fret on high E is an F. If you go from the first fret to the third fret, that's a whole step. You just went, you bypassed the half step up to the second, oops, sorry about that, shaking, up to the second fret, and you went to the third fret, which would be a whole step. So that's on the guitar. Now on the violin, it would be, let's say you went from a first finger on the A string, which is a B, to your regular 2 on the A, which is a C sharp. That would be your whole step, your first finger to a regular 2 on the A, okay? Or like, let's say you're on a G string and you're going from the first finger on the G string to the second finger on the G string, which would be an A to a B. That's a whole step, okay? Now on the piano, let's discuss that on the piano, because sometimes pianos are more easy to visualize, right? It would be as if you went from one white key that has a black key in between the next white key, right? And that would be, this is, forgive my drawing skills, but I'm going to show you what I mean, okay? So here you've got this scenario, okay? Okay. On a piano, right? Yeah, I'm really going to need forgiveness from everybody because this doesn't look like a piano at all, okay? But this is basically what you're looking at here as far as piano keys go, right? And a whole half step would be white key to white key. A whole step would be white key, black key, white key. It'd be going from here to here. That would be your whole step, okay? And right here to right here is your half step, okay? So keep that in mind, just to give you another visual there. Now, we've discussed the half steps. Now let's take that a step further and let's apply it to the letters. Remember, every single note in music is built off of a letter, okay? There are no notes in music, at least in Western music, I have to specify Western music, that are not built off of letters. Every note is a letter of some kind. Now, we briefly discussed the idea of sharps and flats later. We're going to bring those into the fold here today, okay? So here are your letters. So let's go back up here. Now, I'm going to show you where naturally occurring half steps live, okay? Naturally occurring half steps live between B and C and E and F, all right? Now, let's say you don't play an instrument, okay? Let's say you're just hanging out with us here today, okay? All I want you to do is memorize that. Half step, okay? All I want you to do is memorize that. Half step, I'm going to write one half step right here. That's your naturally occurring half step, okay? Then you've got one half step right here between F and E, okay, and B and C, okay? Or I usually say it backwards. I say B and C and E and F, right? And those are your natural occurring half steps. So again, think about your guitar. It's one fret to the next fret. Think about your violin. That would be a, let's see, that would be a regular first finger on the A to a low 2 on the A, okay? Think about your piano. That would be right here, your white key to your white key. That's your naturally occurring half step, okay? That's what this whole thing is about right here. Now, that's going to allow us to look and say, okay, we've got our half steps here, but what about whole steps? Do they exist here too? They do. And that's where we're going to find those extra 5 notes that we talked about last time, okay? So the whole steps, I'm going to do the, this is, I don't know if it's mirrored or not. It kind of looks like it is, so I apologize if these letters look backwards or wonky for you, right? But you've got half steps on the right. I'm going to write them on the right, okay? And I'm going to do whole steps on the left. So here's your whole step right here, okay? And then here's a whole step right here, okay? And then here's a whole step right here. And then you've got, oh, sorry, nope, forget that. That was a mistake. Error. Erase that. That's a naturally occurring half step. E to F is a naturally occurring half step. Then you've got from F to G, okay, that's a whole step. And then you've got another whole step from G to A, which I wrote woefully too small. I apologize again. Okay, now moving on. That means we've got these 5 notes right here that we can name. Now, we're going to use sharps and flats. Let me introduce this concept to you guys today, okay? You guys and gals out there, there is, and we talked about it a little bit last time, but I'm going to really dive into it today. A sharp raises a pitch a half step. A flat lowers a pitch a half step, okay? This is what it looks like for a sharp symbol, okay? This is what it looks like for a flat symbol. Yeah, no, that's pretty much it. It's like a lowercase b. This is what it looks like for a natural symbol. We'll talk about that. If you want to cancel a sharp or a flat, you put a natural symbol in front of a sharp or flatted note, right? Now, let me just pull the reins back a little bit and say that these things exist in the world just naturally, but we also have them created specifically for sheet music. Okay, so these are representations of what we do to our notes. Like, in other words, you know how you have words, like we've created letters and words to illustrate ideas, right? Or things that happen physically. That's what these are. These are representations of ideas and words that happen naturally, like physically, things that have happened physically, okay, that we're doing physically to a note, okay? So keep that in mind. I guess you could really kind of say that all of this is derived from things that physically have occurred, like things that we've physically done on our instruments, okay? And this is just all this music theory, everything is just a way for us to mentally categorize and understand it all a little bit more easily. And it's been kind of, people made it confusing in the past. We're going to try to demystify it a little bit for us here, okay? Now, let's go back over to those 5 notes, okay? 5 notes. Now, remember, this is up in pitch. This is down in pitch. This is up in pitch. This is down in pitch. One more time. I'm not trying to be redundant, but it helps. Up in pitch, down in pitch, okay? So like a skyscraper building, right? Like we talked about last time. Like we got a building with floors, okay? And each letter is a floor. Now, let's find those other notes, okay? Not letter, I'm sorry, not letter. Each note, each pitch is a floor. Let's find those other notes. So if a half step lives here, that means that if a whole step lives here, whole step, the symbol is a whole step, then that means there's got to be a note in between, that there's a half step that we jumped over to get to the next letter, right? And there is, okay? Right here, you're going to have, and this is where it gets weird, just follow me. Just, in other words, take it in your brain. Don't let it confuse you. Just take it in your brain. Don't let it confuse you, okay? A sharp, okay? Remember, a sharp is a pitch that is raised a half step. So if we started at A and we sharped that A, it would become an A sharp right here in the middle, okay? Now, here's, you know what, let's do that. We'll do the flats after the sharps. Let's just go vertically. Okay, and then we have B. All right, so we're on B. So A sharp, B. Now, B to C is a half step, right? No sharps, no flats needed. No worries. We go straight B to C. No sharps, no half steps. Now, C to D, though, is a whole step. So we've got a sharp note in between there. So let's do this. We've got C sharp. Okay, C sharp right here. All right. D to E. Okay, D to E, that's a whole step. Okay, why didn't I put a whole step there? I don't know. Let's do that. Okay, D to E is a whole step. All right. Now, we have this note in between D to E. That's going to be a D sharp. Okay, D sharp. All right. Now, E to F, half step. Naturally occurring half step. Don't need to add anything else. We're done. Okay, maybe this would work a little bit better. Let me get that up. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Okay, don't have to add anything else. E to F, natural half step. Okay, F to G, that's a whole step. All right, that means there's something in between there. And indeed there is. Here's this note. It's going to be an F sharp. Okay, F sharp. F sharp. All right. Then finally we have G to A. Okay, that's a naturally occurring whole step. Then that's going to be a G sharp. Okay. All right. So if we count them all up, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember how we talked about last time, how there are 5 extra notes that we didn't talk about? That adds up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then we're back to A up top. And so therefore there are only 12 unique notes, okay? 12 unique notes. You can't, man, I just wish I could write. That'd be fantastic, right? 12 unique notes right here, okay? 12 unique notes in music. No more, no less. It will never change, or at least, I mean, if it's going to change, it's going to take like a scientific act of Congress or something like that, okay? It's going to be a big deal, but this is it, okay? This is it for right now. If you were to just sit down and memorize all these notes, that would be perfect, right? Because you're going to use them and you'll never have to change this knowledge. This never changes, okay? So just remember that. Everything you do on your instrument is confined to these 12 notes. Then we discover, like speaking a language, okay, how do we say these letters or these notes? How do I say these words? How do I convey this idea, topic, thing, whatever, right? That's kind of how this all is. So think of music theory, or the written aspect of it, as just a language that you're having to learn. Oh, gosh, I'm sorry again for the shaking. That you're having to learn to convey a musical idea, okay? All right, now, coming back over here, we've got our 12 unique notes. We've got all this laid out, and hopefully this is clear. If not, feel free to ask me some questions. There's a comment. I apologize, I haven't gotten to you yet. Oh, it just said, yes, it did work. We're live. Thank you. I'm glad you could hang out with us here today, or this evening, rather. All right, so these are the basic things of music theory that I wanted to discuss as far as this stuff goes today, okay? We've got those 5 new letters. Okay, so just work and memorize this stuff as much as you can. Memorize half steps and whole steps, okay, and those concepts, because in our local lessons, we'll apply this stuff every day. And I always want my students to know all the letter names of the notes on their instrument. Violin up to the 4th finger, guitar up to the 5th fret for every single string, okay? And that's where we start. All right, that's where we start. We go from there. We keep going. We will actually get into rhythm, just not today because I don't like to make these too long. But I did have a question from someone on the YouTube channel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of leave this here for now. Okay, well, actually, I'm going to push it to the side because I'm going to do something with my violin. I'm going to pick up my violin here. So this is here. Come back to this video to reference this as much as you like or as much as you need to. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to push us out of the way. We're going to go talk about vibrato on the violin, okay? Vibrato on the violin. All right, I'm going to move this over here, okay? You can see I got my guitar back there too, but let's talk about vibrato on the violin, all right? Okay, now, vibrato on the violin is not terribly difficult. Oh, let's focus. Okay, not terribly difficult, but it is something that a lot of students struggle with. A lot of times it actually has to do with the fact that we're holding the violin incorrectly initially, and that's not a knock on anybody. It really isn't. The violin is kind of tricky when it comes to getting your posture correct, at least initially anyways. So don't worry about this. Trust me, this is all part of your journey, and you're going to learn this, and you're going to get better at it as you go along. So don't get too self-critical, okay, because you will get it. I have to encourage you. You will get this. Just keep working at it, okay? 2 things first before we talk about vibrato. Every day, you want to remember, I've got to keep my, now I'm left-handed, okay? I'm left-handed, so my violin's going off my right shoulder. You're probably right-handed. There's very few lefties and violinists out there, so your violin's going to go off your left shoulder, okay? But it's not going to change how you execute vibrato, okay? So keep that in mind. All right, so here we go. Let me see if I can scoot over a little bit more for this camera so that you can see me better. Okay. Yeah, here we go. All right. First things first. Okay. You need that left hand, my right hand, to be straight like so in the wrist. Straight like so in the wrist. If this is not the case, it will make your fingers go flat on the tips. Well, actually, they'll be off the tips, right? Because they'll be flat. You don't want to start vibrato on a flat finger. Okay. I know some people do, but just follow me. I believe this to be the best way to do vibrato. Then the next main important thing is, once you've gotten that wrist straight, okay, once your wrist is straight, okay, these fingers need to be on the tips, okay? I tell my students, make the Kung Fu Tiger grip, okay? That's kind of the best way I can describe the grip for making good vibrato on your violin, okay? So what you're going to do is take your hand. Okay, got our Kung Fu Tiger grip right here. Let me see if I can turn around a little bit, give you guys a better vantage point. Kung Fu Tiger grip right here. And the thumb cannot be too tall. If the thumb's too tall, what will end up happening is it'll pull finger length away from your fingers, okay? And you won't be able to be on the tips of your fingers. So keep the thumb down about right here. I mean, it can come up a little bit further, but just be careful. Don't let it keep creeping up, okay? So on the tips of the fingers, okay? Hopefully you can see that, on the tips of the fingers, okay, when you're doing vibrato, okay? Like so. All right, now, this is the next important thing, okay? We start on the tip of the finger. We start on the tip of the finger, and we bend the pitch down. We start on the tip of the finger, and we bend the pitch down. Okay, one more time, because I believe in threes. Start on the tip, bend the pitch down. Okay, now, what does that mean? That means that violinist, for violin vibrato, the note is always going flat. Okay, well, you start on the pitch, then you go flat. You start on the pitch, and then you go flat. Now, for guitar, it's the other way. So don't apply this principle to guitar, okay? Leave it on vibrato for violin only, okay? Now, I'm going to give you an example here. It's going to be very slow, and I highly suggest, please, start learning vibrato as slow as you possibly can. It's going to be so annoying, but I went through it. I actually learned vibrato the wrong way to start off with, and I've been playing violin since I was 6, okay? I had to relearn it later. My teachers helped me to get it correctly later on in college, okay? I know, right? College, good Lord, you started when you were 6. Yes. But that's just kind of the things that happen, and I try to keep my students from having to make the same mistakes so that you can just have great vibrato by the time you get to college, right? All right, now, here we go. Watch my finger, okay? I'm going to do this vibrato, then we'll talk about it, okay? So, okay, I'm going to be on the B on the A string, okay? Here we go. See that? Okay, hear that pitch? You see how it's bending that much? That's very important. That's the pitch bending down, okay? Now, I'm going to do it fast. Now, okay, everything stayed the same. I didn't change anything. The only thing I did was speed up the rate of vibrato. Here's the catch, though. Your hand has to be very relaxed in order to do this, all right? So I'm going to give you some tips right now on how to make this a reality for you, how to make this a thing, as we say these days, okay? You want to pretend like there is a string attached right here on the back of your hand. Pretend that there's a string attached to right here. You don't want to pull from the fingers because it'll bend your wrist underneath, and that will cause problems later on to the point where you're doing this. Can you make a similitude of vibrato this way? Yes, you can, but you'll never be able to get super wide, meaty, you know, like romantic era style vibrato that is just like dripping with emotion. It'll be really difficult to do that. Plus, you'll end up shaking the whole violin, okay, which we don't want at the end of the day, okay? All right, so coming back up to the top here. All right, so the next thing that I'm going to say is first finger, first knuckle. First finger, of course, well, it could be second, third, or fourth finger. It doesn't matter. But first knuckle on whatever finger that you're using. First knuckle on whatever finger that you're using. This is the knuckle that does all the work. Okay? This is what does all the work right here. If this knuckle is not bending, your vibrato is not going to sound great. Okay? It's just the way that the hand works out doing vibrato. This is the one, first of all, the first knuckle is the one that can be the most fluid, I guess. Fluid. Fluid is probably the right word. Fluid and allow itself to flatten out and then roll back to the tip. Because what's happening is when you do this, when you do vibrato, the tip of your finger is actually starting here, then it's rolling onto its backside. Now notice how far back the meat of my finger went. I'm going to get a pretty not depressed, but like lower pitch, right? Than when I go back up to the tip of the finger. Look at where the starting point is. It's right here on the edge of my fingernail. Now watch this. Oh man, yeah, I went, and on the violin being the short scale that it is, I went a good ways away from that starting pitch. And that's the magic of it. That's the beauty of it, okay? Because that's going to give you that full, wide, meaty vibrato that's going to give you a really beautiful sound. Now, you may not want full, wide vibrato, but that's okay, because if you can do wide vibrato, you can do smaller, less pitch shift vibrato as well. Now, there's two schools of thought here, all right? Now, I'm going to get into a little bit of the weeds about this. There is arm vibrato, as I have been taught it, okay, in college, and then there's a wrist vibrato, as I have been taught it in college, okay? What that means is you're acting like you're pulling back from the arm. Remember, the string's still attached here, right? But you're acting like it's coming back from the arm rather than, I don't know, the wrist, I guess you would say. At least that's as it has been taught to myself. So I'm going to change my position and I'm going to do this, okay? Now we're going to pull straight back with the whole arm. It's not a large distance, okay? When I say pull back, it's like what? Like 2 centimeters, 3 centimeters tops, right? But that's what we're doing. Okay, so watch this. Okay, now that's the wide vibrato. And if I do that, I can get some really, really nice, big, thick vibrato like this. You know, if I'm going to get like something really emotional, right? I just kind of want to get like raucous and just deep into the heart, something, you know, like that. Now, the next thing is wrist vibrato, okay? Wrist vibrato, I call it wrist vibrato. It's much more finger-centric, but I'm really going from, I'm always using the wrist to a degree, but I'm really going from the wrist to make this work. Like, it's just my wrist. See that? It's just my wrist. Whereas before, I was doing like my forearm, right? My forearm, my wrist, maybe even a little bit of elbow action there, right? Now, this whole time, let's bring it back. This whole time, it's my first finger knuckle that's flattening out like this, that's causing this vibrato to happen. All right, so keep that in mind. You're not seeing it because I'm at a different angle, but that's what's happening when I do this. Now, the wrist vibrato, though, I use for very tender, very light, very sweet moments, okay? So I'm going to go like this and watch my hand. I'm not even going to play. It's just my wrist, right? Just my wrist. Now, I'm still going to the tip, okay? Still going to the tip of the finger, but I'm not nearly as wide with the pitch shift of the vibrato. Now, I can achieve it if I want to, right, through years of practicing and so on and so forth, but usually I don't use it that way. Let me demonstrate for you, okay? Here we go. So, it's a very, very small vibrato. I can do the wide stuff with my wrist, right? Now, maybe I will combine the two of them. Like if something's emotional, but I don't know, contained, you know, it's not really quite as meaty as just sad or joyful. I might combine both of them, right? You know, in our lessons, we talk about this here locally too. But if I'm doing something that's like super quiet, like maybe even I have a mute on, right? If I'm performing an orchestra and it's supposed to be just underlying background music, that wrist vibrato comes right out. And I might even, watch this, let me turn around so I can show you a little bit better here again. Watch this right here. So I might not even move this wrist or finger very much. Right now, I'm just getting just a very, very small bit of vibrato there, but it can be very effective if you want something that's moving, but not obtrusive, you know, not out there in your face, right? Or almost unintelligible, but you want it. You still want a little bit of vibrato. So that's wrist vibrato versus arm vibrato, and that's actually how you do vibrato. That's the introduction to it, okay? So remember, got to have that wrist straight. Let's just recap these things. Got to have that wrist straight when you're doing vibrato. If it's like this, number one, you can hit that violin, okay? And that's going to be problematic, all right? It's going to shake the whole violin, and it's going to make it, it's just going to not sound as good, okay? So keep that in mind. The next thing is got to start on the tip of the finger, okay? Got to start on the tip of the finger for vibrato. Doesn't matter what finger it is, okay? Next thing is Kung Fu Tiger grip, okay? To achieve that, keep the thumb down, okay? The next thing is, it's really the first knuckle on each finger that is really the catalyst, the thing that's moving, the thing that's causing the vibrato, because you're laying down with the tip of the finger, right? Laying down with the tip of the finger and then coming back up to the tip of the finger, okay? And that's the cool part about vibrato. And that's why if you're trying to learn vibrato, man, you really got to slow this stuff down. I mean, like painstakingly. When my students first start this, I'm telling you right now, give it 2 to 4 months to really get this movement sunk into your head and do it slow. And I'm gonna tell you, it's gonna be boring, but if you can start it early or whenever it is that you start it now, whatever, right? Let's say you've been playing I usually have students be playing at least at least 6 months before I really, at least, usually 6 months, sometimes a year before I really dive in and have them do vibrato. The reason being is because your posture not being set in stone, vibrato can make your posture change a little bit, and you don't want that. You already want to have a good set in stone posture, which includes things, I mean, it includes the bow arm as well, but you want to have good set in stone posture, especially with your left hand if you're a right-handed violinist, to have a straight wrist and all these other things, because playing on the tips of your fingers is what you need regardless of playing vibrato or not. Okay, I know you see a lot of people doing it differently, you know, fiddle players and stuff, and that's fine. You know, I'm a more classically trained musician. I'm a classically trained violinist, and that's how I do things. So, you know, they play that way, and that's fine. I'm not hating on them. I can call names of some incredible fiddle players that are not classically trained that just, I mean, just light the violin up like it's on fire, and they do great vibrato and everything too. But this just to me is the most efficient way with using the least amount of energy, because remember, as musicians, we might be playing for 2 to 4 hours straight at a gig one day. Okay, you got to be able to conserve that energy. You're really conserving energy by doing it this classically trained way, and it's going to allow you to do vibrato long into the future. It's classically trained way, and it's going to allow you to do vibrato long into the future. It's going to make it easier to play vibrato. All right, so keep that in mind. Just round this up. Pretend like there's a string attached to the back of your hand and that it's pulling, because really you want to keep the back of the wrist pretty much straight, okay? And the wrist needs to kind of stay straight, especially for arm vibrato. Arm vibrato has a little bit of wrist movement, right? It's going to fluctuate back and forth, but it's really not going to be doing this, okay? Wrist vibrato might have yeah, it does. It has a little bit more movement if you use it for a wider vibrato, like the wrist is going to bend back and forth like this, but you absolutely cannot have it do this. It's not going to work well for you, okay? In the long run. Remember, the violin's going to end up shaking, and that's going to cause problems for the sound of the instrument, okay? Then, you know, you don't want to do it this way either, because believe it or not, that actually causes long-term problems in your wrist, so don't do that. Bad idea, okay? So keep that in mind, play like this. That's all I could remember that I wrote down in my head to cover for vibrato. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments section. I'd love to help you out. Let me know if there's anything that you're doing that you'd like answers for, okay? And I'll help you out as much as I can in the future. That covers it for the live stream here today. You contact me, you know, go to the Facebook page if you've got any questions too. I usually answer stuff on the Facebook page a little bit more often. Although I do on YouTube as well, so feel free to put it here, but follow the Facebook page, because the Facebook page will give you the notifications as well for when I'm doing the live stream. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you get notifications for live streams and new videos. And I will be doing a video on vibrato for a little bit more in depth, and something that has a little bit more editing. It's just going to be a little more in depth on the vibrato process and how you can make your violin playing a little bit better that way. Okay, so keep that in mind. Please, like I said, let me know if you have any questions. Hoping to do the live stream every week at the same time, maybe Sunday, Saturday. It just depends on what happens and what my schedule is like and if I'm performing. This week I was supposed to be performing tonight, but things happen unforeseen, and that didn't happen. It fell through. And, you know, that's life. It happens. But I'm glad you guys got to come over here and hang out with me. And I'm glad we got to have fun. So, and I feel like I'm talking really fast. Sorry. I do that. Everybody tells me I got to slow down. So if that's the case, yeah, tell me to slow down. But yeah, glad everybody hung out with us here tonight. Hopefully I'll see you at the next live stream. Hopefully going to have another video coming out on the channel this week, so look for that. And, you know, check back on our Facebook page if you want to interact with us. Also keep to date on the website, and check the website if maybe you're a beginner violinist and you're looking for a way to really get started. We've got the Violin Beginners course online. We've got a lot of great articles for violin and guitar online as well on www.musalesson.com. We've also got the Musalesson shop if you're looking for some good swag and stuff like that, some clothing and such. And also I've got a lot of great articles about you know, like violin rosin and guitars and stuff like that, you know, people ask me questions all the time, so I send them those links, I send them those articles. Hey, check this out, I wrote an article about this topic, it might help you. And so you can find a lot of extra resources there. Alrighty, thank you everybody. Thanks for stopping by. This is going to be the end of it, so hope you all have a great Sunday evening wherever you are in the world, and I will see you next week. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.